Hello, I'm Will, this is Mike with the Tabletop Donkeys.
Hello.
And in this video we'll be playing our first ever game of Warhammer 40,000 10th edition, 1,000 points of Space Marines versus Necrons, using only the models from the Imperium magazine collection. So yes, there's a new edition of Warhammer 40,000 out, 10th edition, and all the rules that we're going to be using in this video, the core rules, the mission, and the data cards for all the units are available for free online from the Games Workshop website. And it's also the first video in our Beyond Imperium series, where we look at expanding into the wider hobby coming from the Imperium collection. So all the models and terrain and the boards that you'll see in this video come from the Warhammer 40,000 Imperium magazine collection. If you don't know what that is, then there's a playlist of all of our videos on that. But having a look at my 1,000 point Necron army, or actually 995. Power is not a thing anymore, it's just points, although points kind of works the same way as power used to. We'll talk about that at the end. The detachments are also different in 10th edition, so a detachment is actually now something that gives you a set of army rules and enhancements and stratagems you can use, rather than being a restriction on what models you can bring. So I just picked some units from the Imperium collection that I thought sounded interesting in the new rules. So we've got 3 characters at the front. The Necron Overlord, who will be my warlord. He'll have an enhancement called the Hypermaterial Ablator, which means that a unit he's attached to is -1 to hit with shooting and gets the benefits of cover if it's more than 12 inches away. One change from the previous edition is the characters can now join units. They have to be deployed with the unit at the start of the battle, and they can't leave it unless the unit is destroyed, and they function as a single unit for all rules purposes, but a lot of characters also have rules that improve the unit they're leading as well, so it's often worth doing that. We've also got the Scorpec Lord and a Technomancer, and the Technomancer is going to have the Sovereign Coronal enhancement, which means that every Necron unit within 6 inches of him counts as being led by a character, which has some benefits that I'll talk about in a bit. We've also got a unit of Immortals with Gauss Blasters, a unit of Lich Guard with War Scythes, a unit of 10 Necron Warriors with Gauss Reapers. The Gauss Flayers don't seem very good in this version, so gone for Reapers. A unit of 3 Scorpec Destroyers with a Plasma Sight, which is now basically just a marker. A unit of 5 Death Marks, a Locust Heavy Destroyer with Gauss Exterminator, Canoptech Reanimator, and 3 Tomb Blades equipped the way that the Imperium collection told us to build them. So there's 3 different weapons, all with shield veins, 1 with Shadow Loom and 1 with Nebula Scope. No idea which weapons are good with this, so we'll just try them all out and see what happens. And the one Necron detachment that we've got so far is called the Awakened Dynasty, and its rule is called Command Protocols, which is not the same as the old rule called Command Protocols, meaning that every unit with a character attached gains +1 to hit on all attacks, and we'll show you what that is when we deploy. So that is, 1,000 points of Necrons. And here we have 1,000 points of Space Marines.
Well, it's technically 995. So I've got 2 characters. I've got a captain. Technically still not a legal model, because I think if you want to give a captain a plasma pistol, he has to have a power fist. So technically he's not legal. I don't think it's going to make any difference.
Yeah, who cares?
He came with the collection. I've got a Phobos Librarian as well. And I've got a 10-man unit of Assault Intercessors. Sergeant has a plasma pistol. I've got a 10-man unit of Infiltrators with the Medic. And I've got a unit of Eliminators, a unit of Suppressors, a unit of 3 Outriders with an ATV, because they can be a unit now. And then I've got the Firestrike Servo Turret, which is actually pretty much all of the Space Marine collection from Imperium. The only unit I'm missing is a unit of Aggressors, I think, and the rest of it is characters. And the captain has the Honor Vehement enhancement, which gives him an extra attack and strength, which goes to +2 each if his unit is in the Assault Doctrine. The detachment is the Gladius Strike Force, which is the default Space Marine one, which gives you access to the combat doctrines.
Yeah, which we'll describe as they come up, and it also gives you a set of 6 stratagems like the Necron one, which again we will talk about as they come up. So here you can see we've set up our battlefield using only the maps and the terrain from the Imperium collection, and obviously we've already deployed our armies. We'll show you that in a second. The mission we're playing is called Only War, which is from the core rules. There are 4 objectives which we took turns placing. We've got 1 in each building essentially, and the primary objective gives you 1 victory point at the end of your command phase for every objective you hold, up to a maximum of 3 per turn. It can't be scored in the first battle round, and that's the only objective in this game. And of course, being a new edition, there are lots of changes both to the core rules and to the data sheets for the units. We'll try and point out as many as we can as we go. We may well skip over some. This isn't a learn to play video, so we're not going to go over everything in detail. We'll just point out changes as they come. And this is indeed our first ever game of the new edition, so it's quite possible we'll get some rules wrong. We'll try and catch as many as we can, or add in notes in the editing later. But if we do make any mistakes that we haven't spotted, then do please let us know in the comments below. Be gentle, as it is our first game, so we probably will make mistakes, try and correct them in the future, but we can only do that if we know what they are. Going over my Necron deployment first, we've got the Tomb Blades on this extreme flank. Overlord is attached to his bodyguard unit of Lich Guard. The Immortals are just in the building, the Death Marks are on top of it. The Reanimator's at the back, hidden behind the building. Its rule is that every Necron unit within 12 inches has better reanimation protocols, doesn't have to pick one anymore, so it's covering my entire army from there. And the other side of the building, we've got the Warriors with Gauss Reapers, the Technomancer, who has the lone operative rule, so he can't be shot unless he's within 12 inches, so he's fine hanging out by himself. And then there's the Heavy Destroyer behind the Hematrit Reactor, and the Scorpit Lord, who's joined the Destroyers on the far side.
And for mine, up in the top left corner of the battlefield, I've got the Firestrike Servo Turret and the Outriders with the ATV. Upper level of that ruin I have the Eliminators. And in the ruin I have the Infiltrators, being led by the Phobos Librarian. The Assault Intercessors being led by the Captain are behind the ruins, they can't be seen. And then just off to the side are the Suppressors.
Oh, and first mistake already, I deployed some mortals on top of an objective. You're not actually allowed to stand mortals on top of objective markers anymore. Terrain rules are very similar to they were in the previous edition. The main important change is that ruins now always block line of sight through their entire footprint, regardless of how tall they are. And there are some other smaller changes that we'll mention when they come up. And before the start of the first turn, the Tomb Blades have the Scout 9 inches rule, which means they can move up to 9 inches before the first turn begins. So I've moved them up, keeping them behind this building there for safety. And then command points work differently in this edition, so we don't start with any, and there's also no pre-battle things to do with these armies, so we're just rolling off to see who goes first, and whoever wins must go first, according to this mission. Well,
I'm going first.
So we'll start with Space Marines turn 1. Both players gain a command point at the start of each player's command phase, so we are both up to 1.
So I'm going to put Oath of Moment on those Warriors. We're going to use that Ultramarine symbol to mark it. So it lets me re-roll hit rolls and wound rolls against them.
Yeah, that's the Space Marines faction.
Yeah. I want to check out the Warriors because they have good objective controlling value and they're a fairly easy target for most of our army to shoot at. I'm not going to pick a Doctrine yet, going to save those.
Yeah, that's part of the detachment ability.
So the turret's staying where it is, the Outriders have moved up, the Infiltrators have moved up a bit so they can all get in range of the Warriors. Let's go with the Pikes. Eliminators staying where they are. The Assault Intercessors advanced, got a 5, gets behind the pink cargo container, and the Suppressors are going to stay where they are because they can all just about see a Warrior as well. Going to start shooting with the Infiltrators, they can all see a Warrior just about, including the Librarian. So I'll do all the bulk carbines from the Infiltrators, 2 shots each, so 20 shots, hitting on 3s, rerolling everything because of Oath of Moment. Rerolls, 18 hits, wounding on 4s, rerolling everything because of Oath of Moment. Good thing we can reroll. That's going to be 9 overall.
There's a cargo container and some other stuff in the way, which gives cover if you're obscured behind it, as long as the whole unit can't see them, basically. So we're on 3+ saves. So we lose 1.
And the Librarian gets D6 shots with his new Smite gun. For 2. Hitting on 3s, rerolling. Wounding on 3s, rerolling, because it's strength 5. Yes.
AP -1, so we're on 4s. Oh, we lose 2 more.
Going to do the Suppressors next, shooting at the same unit of Warriors. They are hitting on 3s because they have heavy weapons and they didn't move.
They hit on 4s normally, but heavy is +1 to hit if you don't move.
Yep, so 9 shots, hitting on 3s, rerolling everything because of Oath of Moment. 8 hits. Strength 8 for their autocannons now, so wounding on 2s, rerolling everything. They all wound.
Again, we've got cover from containers and things in the way, so with 4s, we lose 4. So I'm going to use a stratagem called Protocol of the Undying Legions, which bears no resemblance to the old faction rule of the same name. So it's 1 command point, used after an enemy unit has just resolved its attacks, and this unit lost models, so it immediately activates their reanimation protocols, and the way those work now is they get D3 wounds back. But Necron Warriors gain D3 +3 wounds back when they're within range of an objective, which one of those is, you can't see them on the other side of the wall, but it's in range of objective 2. They also gain +1 from this because of the enhancement from the Technomancer. They count as being led by a character, which because of the stratagem means they get an extra 1, and the Reanimator is also within 12 inches of them, so they get an extra D3. So we're getting 2D3 +4 wounds back. Yeah, hopefully I'm getting this right, but anyway, 2D3 +4 is 9, so they all come back. Yeah, so we actually get the entire block of Necron Warriors back.
I'm going to do the Eliminators next. I'm going to keep shooting at the Warriors. They are heavy weapons, and I think because the Eliminators didn't move, they get devastating wounds.
Yep.
So 3 shots on 2s, re-rolling. They all hit. Now these are wounding on 3s re-rolling, and 6s do mortal wounds instead.
That's devastating wounds.
Yeah. So we roll that 2 into a 2, so that's 1 wound and then 3 mortal wounds because they're flat 3 damage.
So that will kill 3, and it'll kill another one if I don't make my 6+ save. Or 5+ actually gets a cover, but no I didn't, so it will kill 4.
Well, we've got the Firestrike Servo Turret shooting at the same unit. So we've got 3 shots hitting on 2s, re-rolling everything. They all hit. Strength 9, so wounding on 2s, re-rolling. They all wound. -1.
Still getting cover, so 4s. Oh, made them all.
Finally, I've got the Outriders and the ATV. 4 twin bolt rifles between them, so this is 8 shots on 3s re-rolling. I picked up a hit. 5 hits, 4s re-rolling. 3 wounds.
With 3s. Oh, no, 2 dead.
That's all my shooting.
Yeah, and nothing's in range to charge, so we'll be on to Necron's turn 1. Necrons don't have 100 things to do in their command phase anymore. Reanimation protocols will happen, but actually that happens at the end. Before that, we have the new Battle Shock step, and the Necron warriors are below half strength, so they have to take a Battle Shock test. So they have to make a leadership test. Leadership is now a number with a plus next to it, so theirs is 7+, which means they have to roll 7+ on 2d6 to pass. And if not, they're Battle Shock. They will explain what happens if they fail. Well, they did fail with a 6. So Battle Shock means their objective control characteristic goes to 0, which means they can't control objectives. It means I can't use stratagems on them, and they also have a hard time falling back. And now they start to reanimate again, and there's still one in range of objective 2, so we're getting 2d3 plus 3 back this time. Plus 1 was from the stratagem, but we get an extra d3 from the reanimator, and d3 plus 3 from their rules. So a 6 back, which is full strength again. So the warriors are back to full strength, but they are still battle shocked, that doesn't go away. And then the Overlord and the Lich Guard advance, they got on to objective 4. Tomb Blades have come around the other side of the building. Warriors also advanced, coming around this side of the container. Stay away from those Outriders for now. The Technomancer came across. The Reanimator moved through the building to keep everything over here in 12 inches, and the Immortals moved through the water, stand basically where the Warriors were. The Deathmarks just shuffled forward slightly. Over on this side, the Scorpic Destroyers advanced, getting to there, taking objective 3, and the Heavy Destroyer just nudged out from behind the Hemotrope Reactor. And the Overlord actually used his My Will Be Done ability, which lets me use a stratagem on his unit for no command point cost. In this case, I used Protocol of the Sudden Storm to allow him to reroll advance rolls, though I didn't need it in the end. So on to shooting. We'll start with the Locust Heavy Destroyer, shooting at the Outriders. It has a heavy weapon, but it moved, so it's just hitting on its normal hit roll of a 3+. It missed. With the Immortals next, also shooting at them. 4 can see, 1 will just take some pot shots at the Soul Intercessors, I suppose. 8 shots at the Outriders, hitting on 2s because they count as having a character attached thanks to the Technomancer's enhancement, and all Gauss weapons now have lethal hits, which means 6s automatically wound. Well, we didn't get any 6s, and we got 2 1s, so 6 hits winning on 4s because strength 5, toughness 5. We got 3, which are AP -1, but they will have cover from various intervening ruins and boxes.
3+ saves. Failed 1. Take a wound.
And 2 shots at the Assault Intercessors, 1 hit. Which means on a 3. That's a wound against them. They also have cover.
Yeah, 3+. We're fine.
Tomb Blades will shoot at the Infiltrators. They do have Shrouding from the Librarian, which means I can't shoot them unless they're on 12 inches away, but they have moved within 12 inches. We'll do the Particle Beam first. It's now a blast weapon with d6 shots, but you get +1 shot for every 5 models in the target. Since they're 10 or 11 models, actually, it'll be d6 +2 for 8. Hitting on 2s, because it's 2s base, -1 for stealth, but +1 because the Technomancer's nearby, so they count as having a leader. 7. Strength 6, so 3s, but this has devastating wounds, so 6s are a mortal wound instead. We've got 2 mortal wounds and 4 normal wounds.
Still 4 3+ saves. Failed 1, so with the 2 mortal wounds, we've got a 6+, feel no pain from the Helix Adept. Hey, we ignored 1, we lose an Infiltrator. 2
shots with the Gauss on 3s, because +1 -1, and 3s, strength 5. Not nothing. But it's twin linked, so I can reroll into 2 wounds.
3+ saves, made both.
And finally the Tesla. 2 shots on 3s. This has sustained hits 2, so 6s are 2 additional hits. Ooh, 4 hits. Wounding on 3s, also twin linked, so re-rolling. 4 wounds. It has the Nebula Scope, so ignoring cover, but you can't improve 3+ saves to better than 3+ with cover anyway.
3+ saves. Failed 1. 6 to ignore it. No.
Last of all, we've got the Deathmarks, who've got a boost to damage 2, so they're going to take some shots at the Suppressors.
I'm going to use a stratagem. I'm going to use Armour of Contempt on the Suppressors, so it lowers the AP of the Deathmarks by 1.
So we've got 5 shots on 2s. They hit on 3s base, they are heavy, but they do count as being led by a character because they're not a Technomancer. Oh well, it's not going to help with 3 1s though. And then 3s, strength 5, 2 wounds, reduced to AP -1 and with cover.
So 3s. Made them both.
Well, that's it for my turn. No charges to declare. So that brings us on to Space Marines turn 2. So we both gain another command point, and the Space Marines are up to 1 victory point because they hold 1 objective.
So in my command phase, I'm going to activate the Assault Doctrine, and I'm going to put Oath of Moment on the Lich Guard.
And Assault Doctrine means all units in the army can advance and still charge.
So down at the bottom of the board, the Assault Intercessors have advanced, and that's going to get them into the Overlord and his bodyguard. Suppressors are going to stay where they are. The infiltrators have moved back into the ruins. Eliminators will stay where they are as well. And the turret, you might be able to see at the back, has shifted across slightly so you can see the heavy destroyer now. The Outriders also advance. They automatically advance 6 inches so they can go 18 and that gets them basically right up to the Immortals.
But I actually spend a command point here to overwatch with Immortals, which you can now do either before or after an enemy unit moves, as well as in the charge phase. It doesn't have to be the unit that's charged if you do use it in the charge phase. So the Immortals are going to shoot at the Outriders. Still only hits on 6s, but these 6s automatically wound because of lethal hits. No, none.
I'm going to start with the Fire Strike turret. It's going to shoot at the Heavy Destroyer. So 3 shots hitting on 2s. Oh, 2 hits. Wounding on 3s. Nothing.
But re-rolling because it's twin linked.
1 wound.
It will get cover from the Hematrit reactor, so cancelling out the -1 gives a 3. Yes.
Going to do the Eliminators, and they can all see the Overlord's unit.
His the Hyper Material Arbiter gives the unit stealth, so -1 to hit.
Yeah, so we're hitting on 3s. Re-rolling because of both at the moment. 1, 2 hits.
Then -1 to wound because the Lich Guard have that effect when they have a leader.
Yeah, so this is 5s then, because it's strength 5, but re-rolling everything because of both at the moment. Re-roll that 4, 2 wounds. Yeah, so they have precision, so I'll put those on the Overlord, try and soften him up.
I'm in cover, so it'll be 4s. I'll make that. Yeah, he actually has a 2+ save now, so that was actually 3s, but he's fine.
Do the Suppressors next, and they're going to shoot at the Overlord's unit as well. So 9 shots on 4s, because we didn't move, but -1 to hit. And re-rolling because of both at the moment. 7 hits, wounding on 4s, re-rolling. Only 3 wounds, -1.
These are just on Lich Guard, who have cover, so 3s. We lose 1.
Finally, I'll do the Infiltrators. They're going to shoot at the Lich Guard as well. 18 shots, hitting on 4s, re-rolling everything.
3.
14 hits, only wounding on 6s, because we've got -1, but re-rolling everything. It's 4 wounds.
Cover can't give us a 2+, so we're just on 3s. Oh, that's another Lich Guard dead.
I'll do the Librarian as well, not the Supercharged Smite. D6 shots, 5. Yeah, 5 shots on 4s, re-rolling. 3 hits, so yeah, 5s re-rolling. 1 wound.
-1 in the normal version, with a 3 because of cover, yeah. I'll spend my command point for the same stratagem I used before, Protocol of the Undying Legions, on the Lich Guard. They get 2d3 +1 wounds back. Stratagem gives you +1 for your character, and the Reanimator's in range 5, which is both the Lich Guard.
So onto the charge phase, I'll do the Assault Intercessors and the Captain first. I'm going to charge the Overlord and Friends. 7's enough. And I'll roll for the Outriders as well. They're going to charge the Immortals. 5, that's going to be enough as well.
So the Outriders and AETV get in like that.
So Scientists made their charge like that, and I'm going to pick them to fight first.
So they pile in. There are now restrictions that when you're piling in, you have to get into base contact if you can. You also, models can only fight if they're within engagement range or base contact if a friendly model is in base contact. They can all get in base contact though, so they'll all be able to fight. They'll also take control of the objective because all these assault intercessors have OC2, so they count as 2 models standing on this objective, so they easily trump all the Necrons. The Lich Guard are OC1. The characters might be 2 or 3, but it's not going to matter.
And I'm going to be using a bunch of things. I'm going to spend a command point for Honour the Chapter, which gives the whole unit charging the Lance ability, and because I'm in the Assault Doctrine, it also increases the AP of their weapons by 1. I'm going to use the Captain's Rights of Battle ability to use the Epic Challenge stratagem for free, so it gives him precision so he can target the Overlord. And then I'm also going to use his Finest Hour ability, which gives him +3 attacks with his melee weapon and the devastating wounds to his melee weapon. And because he's got the Honour Vehement, he's going to have an extra +2 attacks and strength from that as well.
Because you're in the Assault Doctrine.
I'll roll for the Captain first since I've beefed him up so much. So he has 11 attacks, hitting on 2s, re-rolling everything because of both at the moment. So he's got 10 hits. So he's strength 7, striking against toughness 5, so he would normally be wounding on 3s. It would be 4s because of the Lich Guard ability, and then back to 3s because of Lance. 6s do mortal wounds instead, and these are re-rolling everything. So 6 mortal wounds and 6 wounds.
So he has 6 saves, which are done first, before any mortal wounds are applied. Those actually might end up spilling over to the Lich Guard. 4 pluses, because 2+ save or invulnerable either way. Oh, well, he actually takes 4 damage, because he has -1 damage from everything. So he's down to 2 after that. Yeah, and then I think the mortal wounds are actually applied after all the Assault Intercessors made their attacks as well.
So I have 40 attacks from all the Assault Intercessors, so I'm going to roll these in 2 batches of 20. These are hitting on 3s, re-rolling everything. So I think we might have missed the re-rolls for the first batch of 20, but I did get 7 hits again, so the first 20 were all hits. The second batch, and then the re-rolls, so 3 misses, so 37 hits. 2 batches again, first batch of 19, this one's on 5s, strength 4 against toughness 5, needs a 5+, -1 for Lich Guard, +1 for Lance, and re-rolling everything to both at the moment. So 5 wounds so far, so we've got 12 wounds from the first batch and the second batch, sorry it should be 18, and then re-rolls.
These are AP -2 because of Honour the Chapter. I'm going to do these 10 at a time because the Lich Guard will die first before it's spilled onto the Overlord, needing 5s. Well, I only make 1, so there's 1 wound left on a Lich Guard, who now dies. And then, well, I mean, there's a load of saves to go on the Overlord, but there's also 6 mortal wounds yet to be allocated. So, yeah, the whole unit is destroyed. And then I'll use the Overlord's ability to have a stratagem used on him for free, to use Protocol of the Eternal Guardian on him, which automatically brings him back on half the remaining wounds. As close as possible to the enemy unit, but not within an inch, which is probably there compared to his previous position. But he can't do that again. We also just fixed it a bit here because the Assault Intercessors were standing on the objective, which they're not technically allowed to do, but I'm sure they would have all been able to attack anyway, they would have been able to pile in, so I don't think it would have made a difference.
Then I've got the Outriders, so the Sergeant will pile in towards the Heavy Destroyer to bring it in range, but then all the members of the unit can attack the Immortals. So the Outriders have 12 attacks for the 3 of them. I'll do these separately because the Invader has a different weapon. These hit on 3s, 7 hits, wounding on 5s, 2 wounds.
2 4+ saves, made them.
The Invader on 3s, 5 hits, wounding on 5s, 1 wound.
No AP for this, 3. Oh, that killed one. The Immortals fighting back, 2 attacks each, hitting on 3s. 7 hits. Actually, yeah, hitting on 2s, because they are still within 6 inches of the Technomancer, but I only missed once anyway. And wounding on 5s, but they actually reroll 1s to wound all the time, which I might have forgotten about earlier, but it doesn't matter anyway, we've just got 1 wound.
1 3+. Oh, I failed.
Well, Heavy Destroyer also has 2 attacks, which hit on 3s, because it's not within 6 of the Technomancer, and wounds on 5. Nope. But that's it for all the fighting, so we are on to Necron's turn 2. So in my command phase we both gain a command point. I gain 2 victory points because I currently hold 2 objectives. The Necron Overlord reanimated 2d3 wounds, getting him back up to full, and the missing Immortal came back, and none of my units are below half strength, so no battle shock test necessary. The Warriors are no longer battle shocked. First of all, the Destroyers have moved up to confront the Outriders. Heavy Destroyer is behind the Hematite Reactor, it fell back, as did the Immortals, behind the structure close to the camera there. The Reanimator moved around behind that structure, so it can't be seen again. And the Deathmarks advanced to get off the roof, so that they are not close to the big unit of Assault Intercessors, which is kind of scary, and I'm not sure what I'm going to do about it. The Overlord is just in there by Objective 2. He also advanced backwards, because he's still got Oath of Moment on him, so I don't think he wants to tackle them. The Warriors moved forward into the road. They can all see an Assault Intercessor. The Technomancer advanced to get to the other side of that box, and the Tomb Blades zoomed across to take the Destroyer's place, holding Objective 3. And we have a bit of shooting. We'll start with the Reanimator shooting at the Outriders, because it's the only thing it can see.
I'm going to spend a command point for Armour of Contempt to give the Outriders any attacks against them have -1 AP.
6 shots hitting on 4s. Only got 2. And wounding on 3s because it's strength 6. Only 1 wound, but down to AP -1 because of that stratagem, and the one who's wounded will have cover from it.
Partially obscured by the ruin, so 3+. Yes.
That stratagem does last for the whole phase, but I will shoot the Tomb Blades at them as well, because I don't think they'll damage anything else. Starting with the Gauss, 2 shots on 3s. No, they both missed. Oh no, it'll actually be 2s because the Technomancer is there. So yeah, they do hit. And I'll roll the hits with a Tesla at the same time, because with the reduction in AP, they'll all actually be the same. So these are 2 shots with sustained hits. So we do get sustained hits, so that will be 4 hits. So 6 hits from both, wounding on 4s, but twin link. They're both twin links, so we can reroll. Fails, getting 5 wounds, but
5 3+ saves. We failed 2, so we do lose an Outrider.
D6 shots with the Particle Beamer, 1, which hits on a 2, and wounds on a 3 because it's strength 6. Devastating wounds. No wound. I've just got the Warriors left. They're going to shoot at these Assault Intercessors, and I'm going to spend a command point for Protocol of the Conquering Tyrant, so they can reroll wound rolls. Normally it would only be up to half range, but they count as being led by a character thanks to the Technomancer's enhancement, which gives them rerolls up to full range. So 20 shots hitting on 3s, because they count as being led by a character. 6 is auto wound. 2 automatic wounds, and then another 10 hits, wounding on 4s, re-rolling. And then we roll 8 wounds, so 10 total.
10 3+ saves. Failed 1.
Oh, I actually forgot the Scorpion Lord has a gun, so he would have shot the Outriders, so we're just going to quickly do that. He has 4 shots because he's rapid fired 2 and he's been in half range, which hit on 2s, so not re-rolling that. Strength 6, so winning on 3s. Oh, only 1, and the AP is cancelled out by Armour of Contempt.
3+.
We're good. So that's it for shooting. We're going to have 1 charge in the charge phase, which will be the Destroyers charging the Outrider squad. There you go, yeah, there we go. So they'll finish like that, and the Scorpion Lord's ability means that when he finishes a charge move, select a unit within engagement range and they might take some mortal wounds. On a 2 to 5 they take D3, on a 6 they take D3 plus 3. That's a 3, so D3 mortal wounds, a mortal wound to the Outriders.
Put that wound on the Sergeant, since he doesn't give any actual benefit to the unit.
And then we're going to make our attacks, and I'm going to use the Plasma Sight. That gives the unit devastating wounds for the phase, and the Plasma Sight marker is removed.
So I'll spend a command point to use Armour of Contempt again, because you can still use stratagems once per phase.
And then I attack with the normal Destroyers first. They have 4 attacks each, now they're all the same, hitting on 2s, because we're led by a Necron character. Your 9 hits, and the Scorpion Lord gives the unit he's leading lethal hits, so that auto wounds. 9 normal hits wounding on 3s, because they're all strength 7. Not so good. Oh, well, we do have 2 6s, which are devastating wounds, thanks to the Plasma Sight, so that's 4 mortal wounds at the end. But otherwise only 3 wounds at AP -1 because of Armour of Contempt.
So 4+ saves. Made 3 of them.
2 damage to Sarge.
Yeah, mortal wounds are applied at the end.
Yeah. The Scorpion Lord himself will use his Hyperphase Harvester, 4 attacks hitting on 2s. I need 3. That's an auto hit because the hit applies to the whole unit. And these wound on 2s because he's strength 10. 1. So 2 wounds at AP -2 reduced by Armour of Contempt.
So 5+ saves. Didn't make either, so Sarge gets crumped, then the other Outrider will take 3 damage, and then there's 4 mortal wounds. So the other Outrider will die, and then the Invader is left on 5 wounds. Invader gets to punch back, 5 attacks on 3s. We got 3, 5s, nothing.
Yeah, not quite as much damage as I hoped to inflict, but that's the end of the turn. On to Space Marines turn 3.
Bunch of things in the command phase. Oath of Moment is going on the Tomb Blades. I'm going to pick to activate the Tactical Doctrine so I can fall back and shoot with the Invader. And the Invader does have to make a battle shock test. I think it's Leadership 7. High is good, right?
If that's a success, because it's probably 7+, and that was a 9.
Suppressors are going to move up. I want them to take the Assault Intercessor's spot eventually, and they can see the Tomb Blades where they are. While the Invader has fallen back, and it's going to go and drive around the Hematuric Reactor to go and annoy the Heavy Destroyer, and it is within 9 inches of the Reanimators. I'm going to take some pop shots at it as I drive past.
Yeah, and that's the Tactical Doctrine doing that, so it can fall back, shoot, and charge.
We'll do the Invader ATV first. I'm going to put the Multi-Melter into the Reanimator. Auto bolters into the Animator as well. 2 shots with the Multi-Melter on 3s. Getting 2 hits. Wounding on 3s. 2 wounds.
AP -4, so it's definitely not getting a save.
2d6 plus 4 damage. 13 damage.
Reanimator has gained Feel No Pain 4+, so we'll ignore these wounds on 4s. I still need to make a lot of them. That's not bad, actually. Yeah, it only takes 4 damage. It's down to 2.
And the Autobot rifles get 1 hit. That doesn't wound.
It's twin-linked, so we roll it.
Still doesn't wound. We'll do the Suppressors next. They're going to shoot at the Tomb Blades. So we've got 9 shots, hitting on 5s because we move, so you don't get the +1 from heavy, and they're 4+ base, but we can re-roll everything. 6 hits, wounding on 3s, re-rolling.
Yep.
It's 5 wounds, -1.
But we do have cover from stuff, so 3+ saves. Oh, failed 2. They're 2 damage each, so that will kill 2.
Infiltrator's next, going to shoot at the Tomb Blades as well. So we've got 18 shots hitting on 3s. We get +1 to hit for not moving with a heavy weapon, but -1 to hit because of the Tomb Blades. And re-rolling because of Oath of Moment. 15 hits, wounding on 5s, re-rolling because of Oath of Moment. 5 wounds.
3+ saves. Failed 1. It's down to 1 wound.
And I've got the Librarian. You're supposed to declare whether he's doing the big smite or not before he shoots, and I didn't do that, so I'll say he's doing the little one. D6 shots. 6 on 4s, re-rolling. Strength 5, so 4s. Re-rolling. 4 wounds.
-1, so 4s. Yeah, it's dead.
I'll do the turret next. It's going to shoot the Destroyers. 3 shots with the auto cannons on 2s. Hitting 2. And 3s re-rolling because of twin linked. 2 wounds. It's -1.
Won't get cover because they're in the open, so 4s. Oh, maybe less.
Do the Eliminators next. They're going to shoot at the Destroyers as well. So 3 shots into the Destroyers on 2s. Oh, they all hit. Wounding on 5s, 6s are going to be mortal wounds instead.
Because they didn't move.
Yes, just 2 wounds. I'll put them on the Destroy Lord to see if I can pick him off.
So he has a 4+ save regardless. Oh, he failed both. That is 6 damage. Yeah, so the Destroy Lord does die, but I've actually spent my command point for Protocol of the Eternal Guardian to bring him back again on 3 wounds immediately when he's killed.
Finally, I've just got the Assault Intercessors left, and they're going to put some pistol shots into the Warriors. So I'm not going to supercharge either plasma pistol, so the black dice will be the sergeant in the squad, and the red dice will be the captain. And the captain hits on a 2, everything else hits on 3s. Black and red wound on 3s, otherwise it's 4s.
It was just 2 bolt pistol wounds on 5s. We make both saves, well it doesn't really matter because they probably just come back immediately anyway.
Well, in the charge phase, the invader's going to charge the heavy destroyer. So roll a 7 off camera, just going to drive around the other side of the destroyer. And 5 attacks on 3s. 3 again. 5s. 2 wounds.
With 3s. Oh, it's fine. The heavy destroyer predictably did nothing in return, so that's the end of Space Marine's turn 3, on to Necron's turn 3. So we gain a command point again, I gain another victory point, because I don't hold Objective 3 anymore. Reanimator is actually down to half wounds, so before it fixes itself, it does actually have to take a battle shock test, probably 7 or 8 plus. Yeah, it was on a 7, so now it heals 2d3 wounds, it's back up to full. The Scorpet Lord is also damaged. He gets 3 back, so he's back to full. The Reanimator helping with his extra d3s, of course. So at the back here, the death marks are going to stay where they are, so they get the benefits of heavy. The Immortals have shuffled forward a little bit, not to be too close to the Assault Intercessors though. The Reanimator advanced to get over to there, where it can cover the army in the middle of the board. And the Overlord also advanced. He doesn't really want to face those Assault Intercessors by himself. The Heavy Destroyer is going to have to stay in melee with the Invader because I don't want it zooming off and picking off any of my characters or standing on an objective, so unfortunately I have to keep it tied up in melee. And then in the middle, the Warriors moved forward down this side of the board. Technomancer has zoomed over to Objective 3. There's a Destroyer on it as well, so that I have plenty of objective control there, just in case the Invader can reach it. And the Destroyer's advanced. We're just going to go for it towards the back of the board, I think. So we'll do some shooting. We'll start with the Immortals shooting at the Assault Intercessors over here in this ruin. 10 shots hitting on 3s. The Technomancer is too far away now. 6 is auto wound. 2 auto wounds and 5 hits that wound on 3s. Oh, they were wounds, so 7 wounds total. AP-1 cancelled by cover.
7 3+ saves. We failed 4.
Warriors at them as well. 20 shots on 3s. Oh, 4s, because the Technomancer's too far away, 6 is auto wound. 3 auto wounds and 9 hits wounding on 3s. 9 wounds, so that's 12.
12 3+. Failed 4 again. 2 more dead. Gonna spend a command point for Armour of Contempt against the Death Marks.
And the Death Marks, hitting on 2s because they're heavy and they did not move. So 4 hits wounding on 3s. 2 wounds.
So it's 2 3+ saves. Failed 1.
Lastly, the Technomancer is in range and can see the Eliminators. He technically gives himself the benefit of being led by Necron's character, as far as rules as written go, but then -1 to hit because they have stealth. So he only hit once. Not a Gauss weapon, so I do have to roll to wound, which I do.
So a 4+ save. Nope, take a wound.
And I won't be declaring any charges, so we're straight to the fight phase, where the Imperium get to pick first, i.e. the Invader.
5 attacks on 3, still only gets 3. And 5s, nope.
And the Destroyer hits twice in return. And wounds twice. No AP though.
3s. Oh, I did a wound.
And that's the end of Necron's turn 3, on to Space Marine's turn 4. And that's the end of Necron's turn 3, on to Space Marine's turn 4.
So getting 2 victory points up to 5. Put Oath of Moment on the Destroyers. I'm going to choose the Devastator Doctrine to be active, and then the Outrider has to make a Battleshock test again. Oh, it failed. In my movement, because I'm in the Devastator Doctrine, things can advance and shoot, so the Infiltrators have advanced, gets them in range of the Technomancer. The turret moved up a little bit as well. Down the bottom, the Suppressors are moving into the ruins to hold that objective over there, while the Assault Intercessors are going to go and try and do some damage to those Warriors. And the Invaders are going to stay where it is for now. Going to start the shooting phase of the turret, going to shoot at the Destroyers. 3 shots on 2s, re-rolling, good job. Still only got 2 hits, and 3s re-rolling. 1 wound.
Put it one on the back who's got cover. Oh, failed to save, so it will be dead.
Yeah, 3 damage.
3 damage.
I'm going to do the Suppressors next. I'm going to spend a command point for Storm of Fire, which means they get the Ignore Cover keyword on their weapons. So 9 shots, hitting on 4s because we moved, but re-rolling everything because of both at the moment. 6 hits, wounding on 3s re-rolling. 6 wounds at AP -2.
So 6 5+ saves. All made 3. 1 is left on a wound. 1 normal Destroyer, that is. So I will do Protocol of the Undying Legions now. They're in range of the Reanimator and they're led by a character, so we gain 2d3 plus 1 wounds back. 5 returns the injured one to full health and then brings one back on full health. Okay.
Do the Eliminators next, going to be shooting at the Destroyers as well. So 3 shots on 2s, re-rolling. 3 hits. 5s re-rolling, 6s do mortal wounds instead. Oh, 3 mortal wounds. I'll kill a Destroyer. Going to spend a command point for the Infiltrators to throw a grenade at the Technomancer.
Yes, that's now a stratagem, and they have the grenade keyword so they can do it.
So I roll 6 dice, and every 4 plus is a mortal wound. So I'm going to need a good roll. It's 2 mortal wounds. Then I'll do the Infiltrators, and I'm going to do the hazardous version of the Librarian Smite, and then they're all going to shoot at the Destroyers. So 18 shots on 3s, re-rolling.
Yeah, with the rerolls they all hit.
And 5s, re-rolling.
10 3 plus saves. We take 2 wounds.
And Smite, so d6 shots for 2 on 3s, re-rolling. Both hit. Strength 6, so 4s re-rolling. On 6s are mortal wounds instead. We got 8 wounds at 8 minus 2.
The Destroyer is dead.
And then we need to roll for hazardous. On a 1, the Librarian takes some mortal wounds. Oh, he does.
Normally hazardous just kills models, but characters, vehicles and monsters take 3 mortal wounds instead.
He's down to 1. But he has a 6 plus feel no pain thanks to the Apothecary. No. Finally got the Assault Intercessors. They're going to put some shots into those warriors. Yeah, we're informed me that there is a stratagem that lets the Necron warriors return fire, so we're going to put some pistol shots into the Destroyer Lord instead. I'm not going to supercharge the plasma, so these all hit on 3s, black dice is the plasma. Not they all hit. So black dice wounds on a 4, other dice wound on 5s, and this is all re-rolled because of both the moment. 2 wounds.
18 minus 2 on the plasma, so 4. Bolt pistol is a 3, yeah, we're good.
Technically I got that shooting wrong, I should have done 2 plasma pistols, but it's not going to matter. Those Assault Intercessors are going to charge those warriors.
I spent my command point to Overwatch because I expect they're all going to be dead and did nothing at all, and then they charge in like that.
Roll all the Assault Intercessors first, 20 attacks on 3s, 13 hits, wounding on 4s, 10 wounds.
10 5 plus saves. Made 5, so 5 dead so far.
7 attacks from the Captain on 2s. Oh, they all hit. 3s, 4 wounds.
6 is the save, made a 6. And then the Warriors did nothing in return, and the Invader ATV and the Heavy Destroyer mutually failed to do any damage either. So that's the end of Space Marine's turn 4, on to Necron's turn 4. Battle shot test for the Warriors in the command phase. They succeed with a 9, they're 7 plus I think. And then the Technomancer heals his wounds, and the Warriors are within range of the Reanimator, but not an objective, so they get D6 for themselves and D3 for the Reanimator back. The D6 will be the black dice. 6 back, so there's back to 8. Yeah, so I moved the Warriors to there, falling back from the Assault Intercessors.
Yeah, but then I'm going to use a stratagem, spend a command point for squad tactics on the Infiltrators. So because they're within 9 inches of a unit that moved, they can move D6. Whoop. 3.
I also gained 2 victory points going up to 5. And then for the rest of the movement, the Scorpet Lord has moved over to the objective, the Overlord has moved that way, the Warriors actually adjusted their move slightly, condensed them a bit. The Reanimator, the Immortals coming this way, the Technomancers run out of the ruins, go and hide somewhere a bit less scary, and the Heavy Destroyer has now fallen back because the Space Marines have a stratagem to enable the thing to be in the tactical doctrine anyway, so it wouldn't matter if I tied it up. And finally down here the Death Marks have moved over slightly, so they're still holding the objective, but they can see things. So in the shooting phase, the Immortals are actually too far away from the Infiltrators for most of them to shoot at them because of shrouding, so they're going to shoot at the Invader. 10 shots on 2s because the Technomancer's back now. Ugh. Right, only 6 hits, but 2 were also wounds, and then 4s. No, only 1 more, and it will have cover, so negating the AP-1.
3s. Failed 1, it's down to 3.
The Reanimator is going to shoot at the Assault Intercessors with 6 shots on 3s because the Technomancer's nearby. 4 hits wounding on 3s, 4 wounds.
Got some guys with cover, so 4 plus saves. Failed 1.
Technomancer at them as well, only hits once, and fails to wound. Scorpet Lord as well, hits 4 times, wounds on 3s, 2.
4s again, failed 1. Use a man.
And finally 4 of the Death Marks can see them, the other one can't see anything at all, so we moved, so 3s. 2, 3s as well. 2,
I probably should have done this at the start of the round, to be honest, but I'll use my free stratagem with the captain for Armour of Contempt. And I do get cover from the ruins.
Yeah, the death mark's in the ruins, but they can't see the whole unit because the ruin is obscuring them, so they do get cover.
So 3s. We're fine.
That's all my shooting, so in the charge phase, the Scorpic Destroyer will charge the big unit of infiltrators. He rolled a 6, the Overlord also going to charge them. He's in with an 8. The Destroyer Lord would have done mortal wounds when he charged in as well, actually. Ooh, 5. So D3 mortal wounds to the infiltrators, 3. So they roll 6s.
Nope.
The Overlord's going to use his Mine Will Be Done to use a free epic challenge, allowing him to do precision and hit the Librarian. So he has 3 attacks that hit on 3s with his Void Scythe. Only 1 hit. High strength, so he'll be wounding on a 2. That's a wound on the Librarian.
So 6+ armour on the Librarian.
3 damage, he could make a 666 and live.
Yeah. Nope.
And Destroy Lord's attacks on 2s and 2s. 3 wounds, -3.
6s. Nope.
Well, they're 3 damage each, so each guy who gets hit takes some 6s.
So he dies, lives.
Oh, someone's left on a wound.
Well, the infiltrators pile in. Sarge ends up on the Destroy Lord, so 3 attacks on him, so 3s, re-rolling, 2 hits, 5s, re-rolling, 1 wound.
3. Oh, he takes a wound.
12 attacks on the Overlord, 11 hits, eating 5s. 3.
Overlords have a 2+ save now, so he's fine. So that'll be the end of turn 4. On to Space Marines turn 5.
Yeah, so you're kind of seeing my movement. You can see the infiltrators have fallen back onto the objective and they can get out of the way of the characters. They take objective 3, I think that is. And then I'll use Rites of Battle on the captain for adaptive strategy, I think it is. Lets me choose a doctrine to be active, so I'll put the Assault Intercessor unit into the Assault doctrine so they can advance and charge, and they've advanced, so it actually gets them on the objective where they are now. But eventually I'll charge the Death Marks, so I'll probably be able to hold all the objectives by the end of this turn. Yeah, so the Space Marines have got 2 victory points at the start of this one, going up to 7. I'm on 5, and after they've made all their moves and charges and things, I hold 0 objectives, so as long as the Space Marines don't manage to get one of their units wiped out somehow, I will get no victory points in my command phase. So yeah, we don't need to actually play out the rest of Battle Round 5. And we think we've seen pretty much everything on the table shown off anyway, so don't think there's anything new to add. So we'll call that a Space Marine victory and recap the game for you now and give you our thoughts on the new edition. Right, well, that was our first game of Warhammer 40,000 10th edition. There's obviously quite a lot to talk about. I guess first impressions of the game, first of all, shall we start with? First impressions, I'm generally fine with the core rules. I think one of the intentions was to make things more durable, and I think they succeeded. Normally it feels like I get shot to bits if I'm out in the open against Necron shooting, but that didn't seem to be an issue. To be honest, I wasn't really that scared of your shooting in this game.
No, if we had these forces in the 9th edition game, we've played a lot of games of similar forces to this over the last year or so. There would have been much less left at the end, and we definitely wouldn't have got to turn 5.
Yeah, probably not going to get quite as many turn 2 wipeouts, I think.
It does feel like the Necron shooting has been reduced in power as well. Basically everything dropped an AP.
Yeah, I think generally it's still a reduced number of shots, and it's just the fact that it's so easy to get cover because ruins give cover regardless of how close you are, and everything gets cover as well, and the fact that AP has generally gone down as well means that I was making a lot more 3+ saves.
Yeah, and shooting big bricks of Space Marines who are standing in a ruin is almost a waste of time.
And I do like that putting a character in a unit incentivizes you to take a big unit, and having characters running around on their own doesn't really achieve much in this. It's still awkward to move around, but you have more efficiency out of the character.
Yes, particularly ones where you've got something like the Captain or the Overlord who can use a stratagem for free every battle round, because that can be used on the unit as well. So your big brick of Assault Intercessors can have a really good stratagem played on them for free if they've got a Captain in it.
Just the fact that you get a maximum of, 3 command points if you have an ability that lets you generate them per battle round, so anything that lets you use stratagems for free is going to be really handy in this.
And my Lich Guard, if I hadn't done a stupid thing and moved them onto an objective where they could just be charged, they would have been pretty nasty because -1 to hit and wound thanks to a combination of things, and then the Reanimator following them round. And the Resurrection Orb we didn't even get to see. It means reanimation happens in the opponent's command phase as well, so they'd be constantly regenerating wounds.
I mean, that's the fact you get an Overlord in a big unit of 20 warriors and put a Reanimator behind them, and they're almost never going to die. You're going to have to completely wipe wiped them out. Talk about the Necron's rules, I suppose. I kind of like how it's a lot quicker to do and much less annoying than rolling every time a unit has finished shooting at a unit.
Yeah, and also you can bring models back that have already died as well, so like destroyers can come back.
Yeah, I think they're sort of emphasising the Necrons being the slow, hard to get rid of faction again.
Yeah, they've lost shooting power and they've lost speed. They are a lot slower than they used to be, which did present me a couple of problems in this game. I just wasn't able to respond quite as quickly, especially when you consider you can do things like advance and charge sometimes, but they're so much more durable. I did stack various bonuses, like having the Reanimator and the Technomancer around, and then having warriors on objectives, and then playing stratagems so that you kill 80% of my unit and then it all comes back instantly. We'll see what they do when their codex comes out, if they'll alter any of that. The Reanimator in particular feels a little bit overpowered, a 12-inch aura of 3d3 extra wounds back.
But on the other hand, you have a stratagem that lets you bring stuff back in my turn, but once you do that, you can bring stuff back but I can carry on shooting at you.
Yeah, and the Reanimator itself has got Feel No Pain 4+, but it still only has 6 wounds. I would say a lot of units have changed. Some units that weren't so good seem to become better. I tried to bring some of the Necron units that looked interesting in this edition. There were plenty from the Imperium collection that looked a bit lackluster now, like Scarabs.
Scarabs look pretty bad, yeah.
The Technomancer, I think, is the best flavour of Cryptek. Or we should talk about the enhancement as well, that I think that's going to get nerfed as well. Every unit within 6 inches of him counts as being led by a character.
Yeah, that's probably going to be like an auto-include, because it affects units that can't normally be led by a character.
Yeah, rules as written, it just says every Necron unit within 6 inches. It doesn't specify whether that unit could normally be led by something, so you can give things +1 to hit.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably not worth talking about overall balance, because it's all going to change. All the indexes, that's going to change over time. I think they've said there was going to be an errata and stuff fairly soon, so possibly even by the time this video gets out.
Yeah, it wasn't out at the time of filming, but yeah, we are expecting one. And yeah, the data sheets will probably have some revisions and changes. Codexes are supposed to be coming out quickly. I think the Space Marines will be one of the first 2, and the Necrons are apparently going to happen this year as well. So actually, the Space Marine firepower sort of doesn't feel like it's actually changed all that much. Certainly these units, some of them have got better, like the turret. It's got more range. The autocannons are better now. Not as many shots, of course, but 3
yeah, and it overwatches on 4s. It actually feels like it's good at covering an area. Like, it can overwatch something that is charging, even if it's not being charged.
Even if your opponent moves something, if it's within 24, you can overwatch now as well in the movement phase, which is kind of scary.
Yeah, and other things like having the Librarian in a big unit of infiltrators.
That was actually really annoying, because there's a huge unit of infiltrators that I can't shoot unless I get within 12, and it's -1 to hit even if I do.
And I like the fact that the tactical doctrines are actually a choice. They actually feel tactical again, and it's actually useful.
And it's also not just a static buff to AP now. It gives the player tactical options rather than just making things a bit more killy. It caught me off guard actually a couple of times, the fact that a unit I thought was nice and far away suddenly can advance and charge, or if that invader hadn't got itself battle shocked, you could have played a stratagem on it to just let it fall back and shoot anyway, pretending to be in the tactical doctrine. Again, that's still preliminary rules from the index, so they might change those a bit, but...
Yeah, and Oath of Moment seems fairly powerful, although I get the feeling that on larger games it's kind of less impact.
It's only 1 unit per turn. The more firepower you can bring to bear, I suppose, the more value you get out of it, but it also depends on what you put it on. If you've got a really big target to shoot at, then sure, that's going to be really worth it if you can divert all your firepower onto it, but at the same time, if your opponent only has lots of fairly cheap units, I guess it's obviously going to hit some armies harder than others, but...
Yeah, if you play Knights or something and you don't have many units in the first place, it's probably going to be a bit annoying. Yeah, I like that there's fewer stratagems, but they feel more impactful. There's always loads of stratagems that only apply to a specific unit, whereas having fewer, more general stratagems I think is better.
I like the fact that the detachments give you the stratagems to use. The fact you only have 6 for your faction. I'm expecting there will be more detachments available for different kinds of armies, so you can tailor perhaps even the types of units in your army that gain battle line, but also just different way of playing the army, different detachments, and each one probably come with enhancements and things as well. But it means that firstly you know what your opponents are, so they aren't a million you have to remember for everybody you're fighting, and secondly, when you're the player you don't have a million stratagems to remember, so you can actually hopefully use the ones that you want to use when you want to use them, rather than just forgetting that you can do this or that.
Although now I suppose the counter to that is now that every unit's got some kind of special ability that you have to remember as well.
Yeah.
I might like to see some units get more special rules. It just seems like each unit has one. I don't particularly like the change. It's kind of amusing how they introduced power, but nobody used it, so they just turned points into power.
Yes, all war gear is now free, and unit sizes are fixed, so while it's not power, it's the same philosophy.
Yeah, and I think, I know they're going to try and make all the war gear choices balanced internally. I think that might be a futile endeavour in the end. I think people are still going to come up with the best possible combinations. If they get rid of war gear points, I'd rather see them do lots of interesting enhancements instead then.
Yeah.
The issue as well is that I imagine all the units are going to have to be balanced by what characters can be included in the unit as well.
Yeah, for example, that big unit of assault intercessors, you could have had an apothecary in that as well, and that would make it very powerful.
A couple of rules I think will get house ruled fairly quickly are you can't stand on objectives. I assume that's so you can't park a knight or something and physically keep the opponent away. And I think you're technically not allowed to overhang base of a unit.
Or on like an upper floor of a ruin or whatever.
But I imagine as long as it's stable, you'd house rule that.
But anyway, I think that's plenty of thoughts for now on the new edition. Do give us your thoughts in the comments below.
Be sure to point out any mistakes we made, because this was our first ever game.
Yeah.
And we will be finishing off Imperium, so don't worry about that.
Yes, that's true as well.
And that will stay in 9th edition.
Yeah, if you enjoyed the video, then feel free to leave a like and subscribe. There will be more 10th edition content coming in the future. We've been the Tabletop Donkeys, and we'll see you in the next one.
Bye for now.